Yes, and of course, as we mentioned just now, we're actually going to be talking a bit about medication, and not just any sort of medication brands, medicine brands. So there are a lot of different medicine brands, you know. I'm not sure if I'm able to mention them, or actually I cannot even recall what are some of the medicine brands, but never mind, we'll ask our guest later.
Yes.
But, you know, when you have headache, you tend to take, I think the generic word is paracetamol, you know, those kind of medication. And there are a lot of brands as well, and you can buy them from pharmacies, you know, any drugstores, like Watson's, Guardian, they sell them as well. But is it okay to take different brands of medication, and does it give you the same effect? Now, that is a question that a lot of people not unsure of. A lot of people also think that, hey, I have to take like, okay, this specific brand because the other brands don't work, or they're like copies of something. You know, I
remember what happened with me and my mother actually. She wanted me to buy some paracetamol. So of course I went to a convenience store, went up to the cashier and I bought some paracetamol. I brought some home and she was not happy.
Because of the brands, right?
I asked for the P brand. Why did you bring me the U brand? I'm like, you know what? I have no idea. Aren't they the same? But that has been the question that I've been asking for a long time, actually, ever since I was a child. Can the different brands give same effects? Because there are different, there are different petrol companies, and they have different formulas for their oil and also for their diesel. So does that mean it's the same with medicines?
I like how you maneuvered there, Nabil, with the petrol companies. That was really smart.
Because it's been something I've been on my mind for a long time. But you know what? Let's leave it to the experts, because we do have an expert in the studio. Who is in the studio? Is it a band, Erin?
Is it a band?
I don't think it's a band, right?
We're going to ask medicines to a band.
Yeah, why not?
So we actually have a pharmacist joining us from National Pharmaceutical Regulatory Agency, CHUAH, Florence, and we're going to address her as Florence. Hi, Florence.
Hi.
Hi, Florence.
Morning.
Welcome to the show. So, regarding my situation with my mother, who is in the wrong here, Florence? Is it me or is it my mother?
Do you really want the answer to that, though? Your mom might be watching and she'll be like, Nabil.
No, it's fine, Ma. Tak apa kan, Ma? Okay, please go ahead.
Maybe we start from like basics, then maybe we'll get to your question.
Then we'll answer that question. Sure, Florence.
Okay. So, you know, talking about medicines, right? Do you think the brands of medicines matter, actually?
Yep.
Like in your opinion, perhaps?
So, like, we actually have something we call innovators, or like reference, you know, sort of the original brand. Okay, so they are the ones who like put all that research and done all the clinical trials and like spend money in advertising, marketing, you know, so they did everything from A to Z, and they spend so much on it, right? So these guys are like the owners, you can say. Yeah. So that's the innovator, and that's like Panadol. All right, and then we have like other companies, okay, who like wanna come in later, but there's got like a patent thing to the innovator to like sort of reimburse them for all the trials and money they spent. So like maybe up to 20 years. Okay, so once like the 20-year mark ends, then like other companies can come in to bring in using the same active ingredients, you know, the same like main thing. So like maybe you want to say chicken, the same chicken, but like different recipes.
Right.
Something like that. Yeah. So then it's still chicken. I mean, it's still the drug, but they add different flavorings, different brand names. Yeah. So like for example, Euphamol, and all the other U one that you were mentioning.
Yes, I was talking about Euphamol. You read my mind.
The U.
Euphamol, Paracetal, and these guys will come in by other manufacturers. Yeah, so they are not actually imitation. It's not counterfeit. Okay. So it's actually the same medicine, just extra other things.
Well, yeah. What about those extra other things?
Right?
Yes.
So extra other things are like the flavoring. The flavoring's different. The color's different.
Right.
Yeah, and the thing that like binds everything together to keep it there is different. So. Yeah, that's like the difference. But the drug that does the work is the same thing. Okay.
Yeah. But you talk about all these different like flavorings and perhaps I want a Panadol that's strawberry flavored. I'm not sure if that you have that, but those kind of flavorings and those kind of extra I would say ingredients that you add, right? Does it affect the medication itself, like its effectiveness? Is it still strong? Is it still good for people to take?
In terms of how the drug works, not really. Because like whenever a generic company wants to come in, they actually have to conduct studies, a specific study. We call it bioequivalence study. So they actually they do it to show that it actually works the same way. It releases the drug the same rate and also the same amount. So it actually works the same way. Okay. Maybe slight half an hour, 5 minutes or so, yeah. Maybe that sort of difference.
Okay.
Yeah, but like generally it's the same.
But I thought this generic medicine company will actually improve upon the original formula. But you're saying that they don't do that. The effectiveness could be different.
If they do that, then we won't call that a generic to that. We call it like a hybrid. You know, so it's like
hybrid.
a bit different. That's why they have like sort of advantages. Yeah, but it's still eventually still the same amount gets in there. So maybe slightly faster, but it still works the same way. Yeah, but the amount is still the same, and the stuff that it does is still the same.
Let's bring in some real life example here. Like macam you say, like we're talking about the paracetamol, right? The P brand. I'm not sure if I can mention it or not. I'm just so scared that I'll be.
I think everyone's fine.
Okay, yeah, of course, it's fine apparently. Yeah, but I'm just wondering whether the P brand, when are they?
So weird.
I mean, I'll just say Panadol.
Panadol.
Are they? So they are the generic medicine company, and they're not the innovators.
No, they are the innovator.
They are the innovators.
Yeah. So okay, let's make it a bit clearer. So the active ingredient here is paracetamol. Okay, so the P, paracetamol, and Panadol, the company that made Panadol, is like the original person.
Okay.
Yeah, like the owner, the developer.
Okay.
So it belongs to them first.
I see. Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much, because I thought Panadol is one of the brands.
Exactly.
Now it's much clearer.
That's like the innovator, the original recipe.
Okay.
So now you can tell your mom, Nabil.
I can tell Mama it's the same thing, Mom. No, it's not actually. Yeah.
So let's go a little in depth, right? Let's talk a little in depth about the medication and of course brands as well. So what criteria, right, must be followed by the manufacturing company, especially before the generic medicines are actually registered by the DCA, Drug Control Authority?
Okay. Yeah. So I think earlier I already mentioned about that bioequivalent studies. Yeah. So that's something they have to do to show that it's like the same amount will end up in the body as well as the rate. They also have to follow quality requirements. Okay, so these are like all the testing and all the stringent things that we follow. The same as the innovator actually. So yeah, we are like really strict, and a lot of people will complain it take a long time to register, but we have our reasons for that, and we make sure that these adhere exactly the same quality. Yeah, so like we have like the GMP, we call it good manufacturing practice, right? So that's like the main thing, and it's like compliant with like international standards and stuff. So we call it PICS short form. So that's like, you know, US and Australia, they all also follow that.
You know, talking about labs and medicines and drugs and chemistry, it kind of reminds me of one of my favorite TV series, Breaking Bad. I don't know if you guys are watching it.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah, because I know that the main character, his name is Walter White. So he manufactures a product in his lab. And he has this thing where he has to make sure that his lab is always clean. So I mean,
GMP's job.
And he's very, he stresses a lot on the cleanliness of the labs. And I guess that's about the manufacturing process of the product. So I wonder if there are the companies who are the generic medicines suppliers, they produce those generic medicines. Would the manufacturing process be the same? Will the facility adheres to the same standard as the innovators, would you say?
Yeah, so definitely. So that's why like the NPRA, we have like a team to, if it's local, then they will go and inspect it locally.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's the same standards that apply to whether it's local or international. It's the same standards. Yeah, so that's why I brought up that GMP and that PICS one. Yeah. So it's like a scheme that like international standards.
And there's no way that they can get away with it.
No. Okay. Yeah, if they get away with it, then that's a counterfeit. Because it didn't get registered by us.
Wow,
yeah,
scary. Yeah, be aware of be wary of the counterfeit products, guys. Especially when you're buying medicines online. Sometimes people tend to look past upon the certifications and the regulations.
Yeah, so the registration number is Yeah.
And that's very important.
Yeah,
And please listen from Florence. Don't just listen from me, but this is very important.
Do not listen from us, actually.
Yeah, she's the expert, yeah.
So, of course, Florence, you know, talking about, even we brought up some of the misconceptions, and I mean, we've gone through in our times as well, you know, with our moms at home. Why did you buy this medicine? Like how you said, you know.
Yeah.
But some of them that we have listed out, what are some of the other general misconceptions that perhaps people might have about efficacy of generic medicines, do you think?
Yeah. So I guess like we have to be clear with that counterfeit versus generic.
Sure.
So it's not a counterfeit, it's not an imitation, because the active is actually the same. So it's paracetamol in both generic and innovators. Yeah, so with that, the efficacy should be the same because we have that bioequivalent studies that we do, to make sure, and you have to pass it, of course, before we can register it. Yeah, so it will deliver the same amount at roughly the same rate.
So would you say that, let's say, an individual were to go to a pharmacy or perhaps any drugstores, right, and they want to get a medicine, perhaps not a medicine of a brand of their choice, because, you know, we as Asians, right, we always have our brands of choice for everything. So is it okay for them to just grab anything of, let's say, I want to get a paracetamol, can I just grab any generic paracetamol, any brands of paracetamol? Do you think it's okay, even though they just go to a normal pharmacy and they just get it?
It depends if it's something over the counter. I do that too. If there's no Panadol, I'll just grab whatever's there because it's we call it bioequivalent. It's the same. It does the same job.
I mean, since it's in the pharmacy, it should be.
Yeah, I mean, and it's licensed. If it's not the same, then they wouldn't. They would actually highlight it somewhere. So, like for example, I think the main concern would be like maybe it's not so same, right? And that will be on the doctor, so they will know which one is like not exactly the same. So maybe certain like conditions you need like to be very precise, like it has to be worked that way. Yeah. So then they will be aware of which brands that don't follow exactly with the previous one, or they will tell them up front, oh, this one might take a while to work, stuff like that. So the doctors would know as well. Yeah, but if you see, you know, things that you sell over the counter, we call it interchangeable. Yeah.
Okay.
What about the general perception of Malaysians regarding generic medicines? Of course, because we have questions about efficacy, about effectiveness. What's your idea?
Okay, so I think the concern here would be like, how come it's so cheap? You know, it must be like counterfeit or something, not so good,
right?
So good, not so effective. So the only reason why it's actually cheap is because it's the research all has been done by the owner, the original fellow, right? Yeah, so they've done all that money and time, and they've sort of made back in that 20 years because no one else is allowed to sell it, right? So then when these guys come in, they don't have to repeat all that trials and stuff. So it's a lot cheaper to produce because all they have to do is manufacture.
But when you say that it's a lot cheaper to produce, does that mean the quality has been compromised?
Yes.
Oh no, it's not cheaper to produce. Sorry, mistake.
Sure.
It's the same cost to produce, but they didn't have to spend on trials, on advertising.
I see. So there was not much spent on R&D, hence why the cost is cheaper.
And advertising, because people already know it works, right? You don't need to promote Panadol. Yeah.
And they still work the same way, right?
It still works
yes, it works the same because it's still paracetamol.
Yes.
Yeah. So and to another point to add to that is why it's cheaper. It's because we've got not just one person wanting to bring in, you know, Paracetamol or Euphomal. We've got quite a few.
Sure.
So it kind of creates like a healthy competition, and so it brings the price down.
Right, okay. So talking about generic medicines, we've been talking a lot about brands. And I think, right, generic medicines, we usually think about tablets.
Yeah,
we think about
pills and capsules.
Pills, capsules, that's what we usually think about. But does it also include like injections and stuff like that? What do you think about that?
Yeah, they do. So it's the same concept as the tablets. So I mean, there'll be different sort of studies done, but it's still sort of the same concept where it's like the same amount that goes in and the same rate, roughly the same rate as well.
Just like how, you know, if you go to a pharmacy and then you see their number of cough syrups, for instance, like, would you say that it's the same concept, right?
Yes, it's the same concept.
Yeah, we also have a situation amongst Malaysians in which we refer to all paracetamols as Panadol.
Yes.
They're all called Panadols. So how do you distinguish the trade name and also the name of the medicine itself?
Yeah, and some people also think that Panadol is the name of the medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is not true.
It's not true.
Yeah, please help us with this, Florence.
Okay, so like you see the big name, like written there, Panadol or Parasil. So that's the brand. Okay, and if you're not very sure which one is active ingredient, there's always going to be written somewhere on the box, active ingredient, ... and then paracetamol. Yeah, so we look at that. Yeah.
So always look for that active ingredients.
Yeah.
That's the important part of the box that you need to look out for.
And because like the Panadol and the Euphamol, they're all the nicknames or brand. They call
brand
it.
names,
Just
right?
the nickname. So the importance of doing that, looking out for the active ingredient, is because sometimes we have like combinations, right? Like cough and cold. So they will combine paracetamol with something else, and then you still take paracetamol, so that you're like doubling up on your doses, or like or the sleepy meds, like in the cough medicine. So you didn't know that the single one is the same thing, because they looked at brands, right? So they thought I could just take this and this to make it faster, better. But it's actually the same thing, but they didn't know. So it's important to look at active ingredient. Or if you're not sure, just ask the pharmacist. Please ask pharmacist.
Of course.
That's the best thing to do, right? If you're not sure, ask the pharmacist. Yes.
Yeah.
But Florence, I just want to ask another thing, because this is also another thing I guess I would say I have gone through.
Sure.
Where you have, like, there's medications where it's for cough and flu, for instance, or it's like a duo medicine.
Yeah.
But a lot of people think that those duo medications are not really effective in a way. A lot of people think that as well. It's a combined medication. It doesn't really, I would say,
focus
cure.
on one thing.
Yeah, it doesn't cure you per se.
Sure.
So what do you think about that? Those kind of medications?
Yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, like they tend to have the word active ingredient. So it's just basically they're just combining two medicine in one.
But is it still effective?
Yeah.
Like, is it still 100% effective as to like buying two separate medications?
We still conduct those studies again, that bioequivalent stuff, to show that this plus this is equal to the whole thing combined. Yeah.
What do you say about, like, let's say medications, right? Okay, for me as a person, well, maybe not me, let me use someone else. As an individual.
Sure.
As an individual, right? Let's say they were to use a specific brand that they've always used, and they feel like, okay, this brand works for me. But when I try something else, another brand perhaps, it doesn't work for me. Why is that? Like, you say that active ingredients is the same, but why do brands differ?
I think it could be due to that other stuff, like the coloring, the way it's bind. So I mean, it may work, but maybe it's slightly different rate because of those other stuff that sort of mix up to it.
So maybe just take more time.
Could be
a longer
or
time,
it could be an individual thing. So like the risk of that happening to the innovator, it's probably the same, because like everyone's a bit different, right? Yeah. So it's actually can say it's sort of individual to some extent, but it's not like major. Yeah. So the risk is the same. Like maybe that doesn't work. The innovator doesn't work for some.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yes,
Yeah. Some people find the generic is actually a bit better.
So it's more of an individual thing, yeah. I guess it just depends on body to body, I guess.
Sure. Excuse us for our real life questions, but I also have another question.
We
which
have
I've
a
been
lot of
wanting
real
to
life
know.
relatable questions in these situations.
I mean, like, let's say I was taking the P brand. I keep saying P brand. I'm so tired of that term. Let's say I keep using Panadol. And then I ran out of Panadol, but I still have the fever. And then when I check out my medicine cabinet, oh my God, there's Euphamol tablets there, paracetamol. Can I change to another brand, another generic medicine brand? Can I mix it up? Would that be okay?
Yeah, because it's the same. It's same paracetamol. So no problem.
So it's not a problem.
Yeah.
I should tell that to my mom again. But yeah, thank you. Because sometimes these kind of questions, they're quite generic and basic questions, but because they concern our health and our safety and our body, we just need to check.
But I need to add, if you're taking so much, I would suggest you go and see a doctor instead.
Do not take a lot of medication.
Sounds like you're taking too long already.
Something's up. Could be like something like 3 days or 4 days. Okay.
Okay. But talking about, just now we talked about injections that also can come in different various brands, various forms, right? Are all brand drugs available in generic form? Any medication, any brand drugs available in generic form, do you think?
I wish it was, but it's not, because we kind of focus on those which are much needed, that a lot of people need it, they use on a daily basis, and like, that sort of needed. We go by need, so we try to bring in those who use a lot of it. So we will try to bring in generics. We will invite people to be encouraged, to help with reducing the healthcare costs, because it's a lot,
And sorry, I just want to ask, because it can be a bit confusing, I guess, because there are all these trade names for the innovator, the main ingredient, the active ingredient. And they all differ, I guess, because these generic medicine companies, they put different flavors, different ingredients to their own products. I wonder, how would you know if a certain... we know active ingredient already. I mean, let's use the example of paracetamol. How would we know that one brand would work for us and one brand doesn't? How do you conduct? Do you need to go through a test?
I guess we have to experiment ourselves now. We consume every single brand.
Possibly, but how would you do it, Florence?
Like I said, we really done those studies. So, like general population, it would work.
But it's, I mean, it's individually for you.
You have to try it.
You have to try it.
There's no other way.
Oh no. Okay.
And to be honest, like I don't think they even have the brands all the time the same. You just have to take what's available.
Of course.
And there are some, even for myself, that I take on a regular basis. I've never even tried the innovator. Because I can't afford, because I have to take 2, right? So one of it, there's no generic, so I have to pay full price. So I need to save somewhere. So I just went straight to generic. I don't even know if it's any better or not as effective. To me, it works, and I use it.
Okay. So, just, before we actually go off on our next segment for the show, what may be concluded as a general message to the public, you think, about generic medicines? I mean, we talked about a lot. We've even gone through in our lives.
Yeah, and we've asked some
every day.
questions as well.
So, what do you think about, what can you tell, like a general message to the public about generic medicines, perhaps?
Okay, so I think to summarize everything, the main key point here would be generic medicines are actually the same as innovator. So it works the same way, it does the same job, okay, the same dose, everything, and it's effective, safe. Okay, so quality is there, safety is there, and efficacy. So these 3 things, right? So it's actually the same in terms of quality, safety, and efficacy as the innovator. So trust them, use them. It's not counterfeit. It went through all the strict requirements and testing to make sure that it will deliver that same quality, safety, and efficacy. So what else? I think mainly there's a demand. There's a huge demand because healthcare costs,
A bomb. I'll just say it for you, Florence.
So we do try our best to try and get these registered, make sure it's safe, so that we can help everyone and not just some people.
Do you foresee in the future there'll be more brands coming in for medication?
Yes, definitely. There'll be more. I wish even those that not many people use. I'm one of those who use that, so I do wish there's a generic to it. But it will definitely help in all terms. So I think people don't have to worry about going to the pharmacy and just getting a generic. But do drop by our website if you want to know more. So we've got our website is www.npra.gov.my. Okay, also you can log on to Know Your Medicines portal on www.knowyourmedicine.gov.my to find out more info.
Right. Okay. So if you guys have more questions, more doubts, if you want to check on something, do head to the website that Florence just shared with you as well. Thank you so much, Florence. And we were just talking off camera earlier that it's your first time here, first time on the show.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Florence. Thank you for taking time off your Sunday for being here with us.